Hey, what's up? It's Emily from Make Tech Work for You. Back in the car. So, this is a tech tip in the car. Now, I have an actual tech issue and it deals with a couple systems. It deals with Salesforce, Google Calendar, Zapier. But the real thing that I want to talk about is what goes on in our heads when something goes wrong with our technology and how we can recognize what's going on and how we can get out of it. Because when something goes wrong with our technology, what usually happens is we can get really into our emotions about it, right? You're like, whoa, why isn't this working? You start to get upset, you start breathing fast, your heart rate goes up, you start getting upset at the computer, at your systems. And even if you're trying to find a solution, right? If you're looking, you think maybe it's this, okay, not that, maybe it's that, no, it's not that. You can really get caught up in spinning your wheels. And then if you do that for too long, you're going to bottom out, right? You're going to throw your computer at the wall. You kind of get into a loop, like a kind of tech loop of despair. And that is just the worst place to be because that really damages your relationship with your technology. And I just want to let you know, I got there and I want to give you one way to get out of it. One way to get out of it is to call for help. And that can be a really great way to get out of a despair loop. So let me show you just what my situation was and how I got out of it. So here's my situation. I have a need to sync up my Salesforce records to my Google Calendar. So in Salesforce, I make a record of an event. Let's say it happens January 10th at 10 a.m. And so on my Google Calendar, I need to see an event, January 10th, 10 a.m. And then let's say it changes to 11. I have to go back into Salesforce. I change the time to 11. I need Google Calendar to update to 11 as well. I'm using my favorite no-code, low-code solution, Zapier, to help me with that. So when I update a record in Salesforce, Zapier pings Google Calendar and says, hey, we need to change this record in Google Calendar. Let's say I have an event record in Salesforce, January 10th, 10 a.m. I go into Salesforce, change it to 11 a.m. Zapier pings Google Calendar, says, hey, we got to change our event to 11 a.m. Thank you very much. Now, I put in another step into this to say, I actually want some confirmation that this happened, right? That the Zap worked. So what I did was I said, when you're done updating the Google Calendar event, please come back to Salesforce and update the Salesforce record to say, yep, task done. We did it. We updated Google Calendar. And okay, great. That all seems fine until I saw my task, my Zap task number. So just going up and up and up and up. It just kept going up and up. And what I did was I saw that my Zaps were running. If I updated a record in Salesforce at, say, 12:05 p.m., every 2 minutes after that, 12:07, 12:09, 12:11, 12:13, it just kept running again and again with no end until I finally had to turn my Zaps off to stop it from happening. So I was going down every rabbit hole I could find in Salesforce. What keeps updating my records every 2 minutes? And I was really spinning my wheels. I was getting into a deep loop of despair. And the way I got out, and this is the tech tip, the way I got out is I emailed Zapier support. I called a friend, called the help hotline. I stopped what I was doing and said, I can't figure it out. I need some help. And luckily, Zapier support is the shit. They got back to me and they sent me this image, which said, guess what? You weren't just stuck in your mind tech loop of despair. You had actually created a loop in your Zap. So my Zap starts when I, Emily, go into Salesforce and update my record. Zapier pings Google Calendar and says, great, let's update that event in Google Calendar. And remember, I told it Zapier then comes back into Salesforce to say, yep, I did that task. But that counts as updating the record, which sends us back to the beginning. A record got updated in Salesforce. Now we got to update it in Google Calendar. Now we got to update it in Salesforce. Trapped in a loop. So how am I going to get out of this tech loop? I'm going to make another kind of rule that's going to say, all right, we know we did this update, but we don't have to go back to the beginning. We don't have to start again. So there's a couple different tech ways to do this, but more important was how I got out of my tech loop of despair in my mind when I thought this is never going to work. I can't do it. There's something going on in Salesforce. It's not me. Just every kind of excuse under the sun, until I just simply called for help. So one more loop, this feedback loop. Thank you, Zapier support. You are always the best, always there for me. So if you are stuck in a tech loop of despair, just reach out, call for help, step away, do whatever you got to do to get yourself out of that tech loop of despair. If you have an actual technology loop happening, there's a number of different ways to get out of that. And I would be so happy to hear what you've done, listen, or if you're still stuck in the loop, brainstorm together with you how to get out. So thank you for listening to this tech tip in the car. And I would love to hear from you about the loops that you have in your tech.